We'll go ahead and get started. There are usually a few more that will filter in here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'm Chris Daniel, Faculty Professional Development Manager here with EKU Online. Thank you so much for your time and enthusiasm today and interest in the topic. With us presenting is Stephen Shackelford, Visiting Assistant Professor of in the College of Business, teaches a lot of applications, knows a whole lot about how information systems works within organizations. And he's here to talk about Microsoft Forms and what's new in that application and how to maximize utilization of that for productivity and other purposes. So take it away, Stephen.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, and you should be seeing the browser screen. Microsoft Forms is a tool that's integrated very tightly with Microsoft Office 365 and Microsoft 365. And to get to it, everybody has access to it, but to get to it, you need to type myfiles.eku.edu, the fastest way to get to it. And that'll take you to your Office 365 online. You may have to log in here with your EKU credentials, but eventually you get to this type of screen. And when you do, the dot icon here, you can go to Forms. It may be under All Apps, and you can always go to All Apps and search for Forms like that. It's under my main apps area. So I'll go to Forms. And when you go to Forms, you see all the forms that I've created. And I've got one for demo purposes. I'll show you that one first, and take a look at what we can do here. It's similar to Google Forms, but a little bit different. This form, it shows you the preview. It shows you different styles, and the styles are listed here. And I have one response to this form. It's just a sample response. One thing that Microsoft Forms does is allows you to add this, approximately 4 minutes to complete the form. So that's a good feature that I don't think we have in other places. But if you want to edit the form, you can just click on something. And for example, here, click on the name and get rid of demo copy and change the name as such. What can you use this for? You can use it for, what I use it for mainly is first day surveys. I have all the students go to this form and fill out information such as their name as it appears on the roster, any preferred nickname. I asked them what kind of computer classes they've had in the past, if they had it at high school or another college. I asked them what kind of computer related work experience they've had. And I asked them specifically if they've had experience with Excel, because I teach an Excel class. I also asked them what type of computer they have, Windows, Mac, or other. If it's other, I asked them to explain that. And then I asked them, for purposes of reporting purposes, I asked if they're an athlete or if they're graduating, because there's some extra reporting requirements there. And then I asked them what type of, what do they expect out of the class. So that's the way I use that form. I use it for just informational purposes for me. And there's other things you can do with it, but this is what I use it for. If you want to change the style, you can select the styles and change to a different style. There's some that are animated, such as that one. If you want no style, you can also choose, I think, no style down there somewhere, but you can remove the style, I think, or just a color, for example, and things like that. I want to go ahead and start from scratch and create a new one. If there's no questions about this, I'll stop for questions for a minute. If you want to collect responses to a pre-existing form, you can click collect responses. There are a couple options here. You can have this be something that people have to log into Office 365 for. Only people in my organization can respond. This one is set for anybody can respond. There's no login required. And you can also ask for responses from specific people. If you make a list of people For example, one class you want to have specific people respond from that class or something like that. You can create a QR code for the form, and just by clicking on that icon, and you can download that QR code and use it on a flyer or a poster, or actually embed the image in your syllabus or something. You can do that. You can also get the link, and you can copy and paste the link, and things like that. Here's the URL, and you can copy paste that URL to a email or something, and that's the way to collect responses. Let me show you what the responses look like, and then we'll do a new one. This is a sample from Chris, so there's only one response, but you'll have the number of responses you have, the average time it takes to complete, and you can view the results one by one. And you can go to the next one and see all of them one by one, or you can open that in Excel. You can download and open the responses in Excel. If you have 50 responses, you might be able to sort by name or something and do things in Excel with it. But that's the way to look at the responses. I'll stop for questions as I get set up for a new one. Back to the forms window, and you can go to new form or new quiz and select a new form. And from a blank, you can select a background. You can change the title. You can click on the various elements of the title and change that. Then add a new question. You can have multiple choice questions. You can have text questions. You can have rating or date questions and other types of questions available to you. But let's do a multiple choice question first. And it starts off with two options. And you can add options to it. And add an option to make a three response multiple choice question, or as many as you need. If you want to get rid of an option, you can hit the delete button to get rid of it. You can allow for multiple answers. Turns it into a different type of question, but you allow for multiple answers. You can allow for required. An answer to this question would be required of the students in the people who take the quiz or the fill out the form. And then add a new one. Let's add one for text, and you can have a long answer, which gives a little bit more room to a little more area to fill in an answer, or a short answer, again required, and things like that. If you want to get rid of a question or copy a question, you copy it here, get rid of here, move it up in the list or move it down in the list there. And then once you're done, this is automatically saved in your Office 365 as you go along. And once you're done, you can preview the form. This is a feature of this particular template, but you go to Start Now and you see the form, and you can sample for the way it looks on a computer, as we are here, or you can sample for the way it looks on a mobile device. So on a phone, you can see the sample form listed on the phone. There are things like immersive reader. There are you can enable and disable that, and there's a read the text, immersive reader for each question, and that's pretty cool, I think. But let's see. So you can go back to, I don't want to show you an actual form that I've used in class, but I will show you the demo again. And let's see, where is that? This one is a copy of one I was using in class, but as I said, you can have multiple choice questions. You can always require a question. And let's see what else. In the collect responses, you can again, you can make people log into their Office 365 to make sure they're credentialed in, or you can have anyone respond. I've used this for the first day survey. I've used it for a survey of faculty in the College of Business for a question we had related to a committee I've had. And there's multiple ways to use it. You can do two types. You can do a quiz or a form. And I've always used form, but the quiz is very similar, I believe. So that is my presentation. Any questions on that?
No, I do not have any questions.
How much time has this saved you, Stephen, in your classes over the way you used to do things?
Well, before this, what I used was just I put the questions on the board and on the chalkboard, and had the students write it on paper, and that was okay, but it took up a lot of class time. And this is an out of class experience. They can do it anywhere they want, and I just make sure that remind them the second day if they haven't done it in the first week. I remind them the second day in the in-person class. It's very convenient for an online class to have the input from the students that way. But I usually get a pretty good response rate, and I remind them a couple times and things like that. But a lot better than doing it on paper, I think.
Have any students reported any problems accessing that on a particular device or web browser?
No, most of the students will use, as I showed you. Let me go back to this one. Most of the students will use the QR code, and I'll post this on the announcements of the Blackboard and refer to it in class and an in-person class. And most of the students will put that QR code and scan it with their camera and do it on their phone, and do it right then and there in class most of the time, and if not, very soon after. But that's the way that most of them do it, and nobody's reported any problems with it, no matter what browser, type of computer or device they're using.
Great.
It's a pretty good tool. As I was telling you earlier, I've never used Google Forms, so I don't know the differences there. Maybe you can go into the details of what the differences you see here. But I think the QR code and the immersive reader and the synchronization with Office 365, especially allowing only people in your own organization to log in and do it, would be a great benefit.
The functionalities are very similar. However, there are those enhancements that you mentioned. There's the estimated time to complete functionality that this has that Google Forms does not have. The main thing that I'm keying on is that if you are a Microsoft Office user, and especially a 365 user, then you're going to have some direct advantages by being able to access an Excel spreadsheet natively that's going to contain those data that you may want. So that's a big advantage. Also, it seems that it has a little bit more modern look and feel to it compared to Google Forms. But both are very similar in nature. But I like this. It's very clean looking. The one thing I might say too is that, and I don't know the quiz functionality of this, but I think this may lend itself a little better to polls and quizzes, whereas Google Forms is mainly geared, but it'll do quiz type questions, but it's more geared towards, a sign up form that you might encounter.
Yeah, so far I don't see much of a difference, but I'm sure there is something that in quizzes versus forms. But point values,
Yeah.
things like that. You can assign. I would assume, I haven't done this, but I would assume that the point value comes down with the download, as long as you select a correct answer and stuff.
Yeah, and it's great for folks who want to do some, maybe, well, I guess you could do summative assessment with this, but especially quick formative assessment. You're in a face-to-face course, or you're in maybe a blended situation. You don't have Blackboard set up to handle quizzing, but you want to offer something. This could be a great way to get it some questions. Do a knowledge check, during your lecture to see if students are getting the points that you're trying to drive home, or can express in their own words the concepts that you've given them.
Yeah. So if anybody has any questions later on, you can always email me. I'll put the email out there, steven.shackelford@eku.edu, and you can always email me and I can help out as needed.
So I do have a question. So, because I'm not a professor, because I work in HR, and so we do surveys sometimes, and so that's why I was interested in doing this. But a question I have is, so when you mentioned the Google Docs, when you're using Excel spreadsheet, so I had mine open and was looking while you were talking. So do you think this is something that we can use instead of Google Docs? Because Google Docs just really, when you're using the Excel spreadsheet, you're limited. It's like not an Excel spreadsheet. It's like you don't have all the features that you would normally have using Excel.
Let me.
Can you use this instead, Stephen?
I think so. Yeah. Let me go to this sample and go to the responses and open in Excel. And you all you gotta do is click open in Excel, and I don't know if you'll see this or not, but I think I'm sharing the screen. So
yeah, I can see it.
All right. So can you see that Excel sheet?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me move that up here. You got it now?
There it is. Yeah.
So now give it time to verify the worksheet.
Yeah.
But you can then enable editing, and if you don't require an email and don't require them to be in the organization, you get anonymous here. You get the time started, the time completed. You get the information they input, and if it's a yes, no, or a multiple choice question, you get that answer there. And you have the question in the header of the column, so you can always filter for specific answers and things like that. Count up the number of yeses and nos you have in a certain question. So that is that's the best feature of it, I think. To just integrate so tight with Excel and the rest of Office.
Right. Correct. Okay. Thank you.
And remember, all EKU faculty and staff have access to this functionality. It goes with.
Yeah, I did, because like I said, what I wrote down when he was saying that, so I pulled it up and did my files.eku. So like I said, I had it on, and it's very interesting because I see all the files that somebody has sent me through emails is listed there, even though I've not opened them. They list them.
Yeah, anything you've had in an email attachment or anything that somebody shared with you in Office is always there, as well as your own stuff in your My Documents folder. Stuff in your OneDrive. Rather.
Right. Yeah, that's what I noticed. Yep. It's a nice something new to learn today. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone have other questions or comments? If there's nothing further, Stephen, thanks so much for showing this today. I think it's good to show alternatives. It's good to show that faculty and staff are actually using these tools for different purposes, or the same purposes, but in different ways. So we really appreciate you coming today and talking with us.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you all. I'm going to end the recording.